It's the Wednesday after TakeOver. You know what that means. 2 matches and a lot of video packages. Let's talk about it. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Smash Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your June 5th NXT review, and not really much house cleaning other than go back one video, check out my solo prediction for the Saudi Arabia show coming up this Friday. I don't have any co-hosts because my co-hosts won't be watching that show, and they decided to dip out of doing that preview. All the power to them. The Saudi Arabia thing kicks off a lot of things for a lot of different people, but it does bring something into stark contrast that's kind of interesting. The last pay-per-view we had, remember when pay-per-view, the night for pay-per-view was Sunday night, and I know New Japan does things differently and other places do things differently, but if you've grown up on WWE, or even WCW back in the day, we know that pay-per-views are a Sunday night thing. Now, the last Sunday night pay-per-view that we've had was Money in the Bank, wasn't it? That was a while ago, and then we had Double or Nothing on a Saturday. We had this show on a Saturday, which not only is weird for, it's not necessarily weird for a TakeOver to be on a Saturday, but it's weird for a TakeOver not to be associated with a Sunday pay-per-view. Super Showdown, and I'm going to leave it at that, is going up on a Friday, and then what do we have? We have Stomping Grounds in like 2 weeks. What's happening at Stomping Grounds? Raw's Alexa Bliss is taking on SmackDown's Bayley for the SmackDown Women's Championship. And why do we know that? We know that because we're building the women's division towards that. Because we can't book them for Saudi Arabia. I get it. But it's just funny because people seem to get really, really angry when people like Alexa Bliss get any success. They were complaining a while ago when Alexa Bliss wasn't bumping. She went back in, had a match this week on SmackDown, did bump around with Charlotte and Carmella. Carmella, who's incredibly underrated, and Charlotte, who I'm sure we're all a little sick of at this point. And she's got a... Why am I talking about this on the NXT review? It's just, it makes me smile. It really, really does. And there's not going to be much to this review. And you guys, like I said in the intro, I think I always make the same joke. I think there's been a couple of these post-TakeOver NXTs that I haven't even bothered reviewing because there wasn't much to talk about. Because it really is a glorified recap show, and the matches that we're going to talk about are a lot of fun, but even they were really short. I like the results, don't get me wrong, and we're going to get there when we get there, but yeah, it really is a short review, so I got to find something else to talk about to make it worth me even putting the camera on. Now, you guys will know that this camera died on me twice while I was doing the preview for Super Showdown, so we'll see how that goes tonight. I'm just going to do my really super shitty, shoddy imaging, editing, etc. if it does do that, but, I mean, you guys haven't nailed me on that so far. Where to start? This was a really... 25th anniversary of TakeOver. It's not an anniversary because it's not by year, but whatever. I do love the fact that Triple H said, yeah, we're not counting a rival. We're just not. This is 25. Deal with it, which is great. And because of that, we are live at the Webster Bank Arena in Bridgeport, Connecticut, a place that I know nothing about. We start off with a video repack of the TakeOver as a whole, which is good, you know, and I don't want to keep beating this into the ground. It is very formulaic. We start off the post-TakeOver NXT with a recap of the whole show, and then as we go through the show, we recap all the matches again. So let's talk about the actual matches that happened tonight. Well, back then, but, you know, tape show. For the purposes of a tape show, it happened tonight, whatever. Keith Lee versus KONA, Don't Call Me The Rock Reeves. And I'm going to stop using that because in this match, short as it was, KONA Reeves, very much like the Forgotten Sons, who we're going to talk about later on, is starting to why can't I find words tonight, guys? He really is starting to warm up to me. I do like Keith Lee. Keith Lee is amazing. Keith Lee is like a very amusing young mix of Mark Henry and Big E. And yes, I know I made fun of the New Day a lot in my review, or in my preview last night. It's not to be taken personally. I like the New Day, etc. Keith Lee, the comparison here is a positive one. But there's a color and a tie-up, and surprisingly enough, if you picture the power between the two, you get Reeves working the arm for a little bit. Eventually, it's reversed by Lee. Now, Lee gets Reeves in this, the way your hands will, I think it's called a knuckle lock, I'm not entirely sure, but when wrestlers go to do a test of strength and they do that lacing of the fingers, he gets them by one hand and sort of pulls them around the ring, and as Reeves tries to escape, he literally pulls them up by that same hand back into the ring again. It's one of those, it's terrifying, but with the amount of fun that he's having with it, it's also really, really amusing. Headbutt and right hand by Reeves, and the people on commentary, which is Nigel McGuinness and the other guy whose name I can never remember, and Beth Phoenix. Beth Phoenix is still killing it on commentary, by the way. They talk about the Samoans and how they have a big, huge, you know, the headbutt. You never headbutt a Samoan. It's the thing that people always used to say about Haku. They said it about Yokozuna as well, but then that was back when we were pretending that Yokozuna was Japanese. Moving on, headbutt and big right hands by Reeves, and a boot and a kitchen sink, a running knee by Reeves, who rides a chin lock, then hits him with an elbow shot. Lee grabs the wrist. Lee's down to one knee from all the strikes. Lee grabs him by the wrist. And as Reeves just keeps hitting him with elbows, hitting him with shots with the free hand, he just holds onto the wrist, and he's got this weird calm. I don't want to make this comparison, but I have to. You know when Hulk starts to Hulk up and he takes a few shots to the face before he does the U? It kind of does remind me of that, because Lee just holds him by his other wrist, so he can't go anywhere. But he's giving the shots, he's trying to escape, and he's just like, basically he's got that go ahead and hit me face until he eventually gets up to his feet, gets him by the arm, holds him by the arm, and it knocks him down with the other arm. Picks him back up by the arm, knocks him down. Basically, the way you would picture a standard size wrestler doing the rolling clotheslines, except it's just rolling one-punch knockdowns, and it's just, I go back to the same description once again. It's kind of humorous, because you get this whole Keith Lee's having a lot of fun pummeling the guy, but at the same time, it really is a terrifying and really simple show of strength from Keith Lee, who, you know, we lost for a little bit. He was off on injury. He's back, whatever. Running crossbody by Lee, also terrifying. It makes me think of Killian Dane when, they had a special name for it. Why can't I think? I think it was called, it wasn't the Interceptor, that was something else. Interceptor is the spear that Kairi Sane does. Somebody put it down in the box below. Killian Dane used to do that weird running crossbody that they had a particular name for that I can't remember, because it's that kind of night. Hangman by Reeves and a Uranagi, series of strikes by Lee, the pounce and a twisting slam gets the win for Keith Lee. A whole lot of ramble from me to explain what was a very fast but again very effective match. Keith Lee's back. He likes to destroy people. That's fine. KONA Reeves has been on the butt end of a lot of other people looking good, but he's getting to that point where he looks good in the process. So I mean, everybody wins here, and I mean, let's be real, these matches that we're talking about tonight were the dark matches of TakeOver, so even if he did end up looking bad, sorry, stuttering, even if he did end up looking bad, it wouldn't really matter, as much as I hate to say it. We see highlights of Baszler versus Shirai, and Shirai snapping after the match, beating the fuck out of Baszler with a kendo stick. It's all really good. Candice LeRae acting all surprised, and whatever the case may be, it was a really, really good match. I was hoping that Baszler would retain, because I want Baszler to be the champion when they come to Toronto. I've been over this quite a bit, and there's only 3 possible opponents for Baszler at TakeOver, and I don't want them to go the easy way and make it a multi-person match. Make it a one-on-one match. But there's only 3 people that should take on Shayna Baszler at TakeOver, in my opinion, coming off of this match, is either Shirai one more time with a hardcore stipulation, because let me just say, the moonsault with the chair was awesome. The beatdown with the kendo stick was awesome. I think Brock Lesnar was compensating on Monday with the beatdown on Rollins, because he saw this. Yes, that is a very controversial statement, and it's going to stay there. So Shirai, if we get a stipulation, is one competitor. Candice LeRae, just because she needs to do something. She needs to stop being the background of Johnny Gargano's story. She needs to stop being somebody's friend in their corner. And I mean, it was great. You know, great storytelling and whatever. Baszler, you assume, is going to have the horsewomen with her, so Io Shirai needed to have somebody with her, and Kairi Sane's on the main roster now. I get that, but you need to do a Candice LeRae story that's about Candice LeRae. Or, somebody we're going to talk about later on tonight, is you got to get Mia Yim in that scenario. You just do. I mean, who else? Who else really do you put in that scenario? The only other one you put in there is Bianca Belair, and she overstayed her welcome in that picture, did she not? Then we get the announcement that Shirai Shirai, Io Shirai, and Candice LeRae. There we go. That's where I got Shirai from, because that's not a thing. Candice LeRae and Io Shirai are going to take on Jessamyn Duke and Marina Shafir next week. I wonder if Baszler's going to get involved. We see a commercial that we saw during TakeOver for NXT UK TakeOver Cardiff in Wales on August 31st. Now, I love this in a way. This is what sent everybody into a big tizzy, and everybody that wants to demonize WWE, and yes, there's a lot of reasons to demonize WWE, but this isn't one of them. Oh, why, oh, isn't it really, really convenient that they put that on the same day as what is it, All Out, that AEW is doing? It really is sad. People try really hard. I mean, I'm not even insulting AEW at this point, but the fans out there that just want to hate stuff and want to accuse people. I know there's another, like, there's also a NJPW show happening in the UK, and that might be a little bit of competition, but in no way, shape, or form did WWE do this show to take on or try to challenge All Out, because you know what? You're gonna watch the TakeOver UK show at 3 in the afternoon, and then you're going to watch All Out at like 8 or whenever it comes on. They are in no way in competition with each other. That's like saying SmackDown is in competition with 205 Live. And realistically, let's be real, nobody's worrying about 205 Live in any stretch of the imagined shape, way, or form. I'm looking forward to that, because I'm pretty sure, I haven't read the spoilers, but I'm pretty sure I know where they're going with that show. I'm actually going to try and get out an NXT UK review this week, because I didn't do that last week. I mean, last week, what was there? There was some tag team stuff, and I know Toni Storm defended her title, but she's still the champion, so it is what it is. And unfortunately, Cassius Ohno still gets TV time, so sorry, I missed it. You know, life got in the way, and I was going to try and play catch up, but then I was watching the episode, and I'm just like, there's nothing I really want to talk about. People on the show are great. They're working towards their next show, but their next show, as you say, is in August, so they've got time, and I'm going to start. They've got the 4-way this week that has already happened, but I haven't watched it yet. We'll do that. TakeOver Cardiff. It looks really fun. I don't know anything about Cardiff, Wales, so if there's anything specific about Cardiff, Wales, anybody wants to tell me down in the box below, I really don't know. We move on to highlights from the 4-team ladder match. Street Profits are your new champions. That's awesome. It's long overdue. But the bigger story for me here, and this is going back to something I've said for a long time, I've said about the Forgotten Sons that they're capable and they're an interesting team, and I want to like them. They're just missing something. They took some big steps in this match to not necessarily making me want them to win, but justifying their presence in the match as the match went on. Because you guys know, I like Lorcan and Birch. The Street Profits are great. Undisputed Era, enough said. They were the odd ones out. I'm like, why the hell are they here? And Jackson Riker just walked into the ring and got his ass handed to him by like 6 other guys. So if nothing else, he you know, there's no end to that sentence. He just got his ass handed to him, and his 2 cohorts in that faction, they definitely played their part in this match. I was almost to the point in this match where I would have been okay with them winning. They still weren't the team I wanted to win. They still weren't the team I was cheering for necessarily, but I was becoming more and more okay with the possibility of them getting the win, which is fine, and that's all I really need. And then we see a backstage segment where they're being interviewed by various press about their win, and talking about being there from day one and hard work and discipline and rah. And then they see the guy that's filming the WWE exclusive. Apparently they know the cameraman, or at least they're playing up that they know the camera. We've known this guy forever. He's been here as long as we've been here, as long as we've had a presence in NXT. He's been there too. So they bring the cameraman into the shot with them, and he's got them, or sorry, they have him celebrating with them, and they leave with the cameraman to go and celebrate. And I thought that was a neat little thing. I mean, is it anything really? No, but it's just fun, and it goes along with the Street Profits being amazing athletes. Montez Ford has poor taste in women, but that's besides the point. Montez Ford, Angelo Dawkins, amazing athletes, overdue deserving champions, and they still managed to be a whole lot of fun. You know what else is a whole lot of fun? Transitions. That was a terrible transition. Breeze versus Dream. I did a big piece in my preview for this show talking about Breeze versus Dream, and I went in and I did a big bit in our preview. If you don't want to watch the whole preview, I did cut it out and release it as a separate video as well, as to the significance of Tyler Breeze being a talent that has taken the back step from WWE main roster to NXT, and what that could mean for other, you know, fledgling talents on the main roster going forward. I think it could set a precedent that other people could benefit from, and it's more important than it seems. It's more important. What Tyler Breeze is doing is important for more than just Tyler Breeze. And if you want to see me say that and explain that a lot more eloquently than I just did, go back about 2 or 3 videos. I think it's just called Why Dream versus Breeze is Vital for NXT. You would think that I named my own videos, I would remember what I called them, but I just don't. I just don't. We see a preview, or a promo from Tyler after the match showing his respect for Velveteen Dream, talking about the fact that they were able to take a selfie together after the match, which I thought was a neat little touch. I did like in the match where Dream had him down and Dream grabbed his own belt, and I think Tyler Breeze was out on one of the commentary tables, and he took a selfie with Tyler Breeze's phone, with his belt, and with Tyler Breeze sort of laid out. I thought that was a really, really neat touch, and it wouldn't work if it wasn't Velveteen Dream and he wasn't facing Tyler Breeze. Something like that wouldn't work, but just those two gimmicks and the charisma of those two guys made something that would be very, very silly work. And Tyler Breeze is back in NXT is basically the grand total of that backstage promo, which is really, really good. We see a preview or a promo or a video package for Damian Priest, which I believe is the new name for Punishment Martinez. Punishment Martinez is somebody I've seen maybe once on my television screen. So again, this is going out to all my indie fans. Tell me what I need to know about Damian Priest down in the box below. Looks cool. The promo includes him getting a tattoo, so that's, again, I have to reiterate the fact that Aleister Black is not going to be part of Super Showdown because people found his tattoos offensive, or at least that's one of the stories floating around, but yet, Undertaker. Moving on, I don't know where I'm going tonight. This is one of those nights. There's not much on the show, so I just sort of banter off in all directions, and I hope you guys are still with me. I don't know what else to say. Mia Yim, Bianca Belair, the rubber match. Mia Yim cheated to win the first match using her hair. Bianca Belair cheated in the first match with her hair to win the match, tying her own hair around the ropes, which was just a really dumb spot. Mia Yim made her pay for it in their second match by using her hair to pull her into that sort of one-knee codebreaker thing that she does. I don't think on commentary that they gave that a name, which is really unfortunate because I would love to call it something. But this is the rubber match, and they get to have their rubber match on the bigger stage. Now, I've spent a whole lot of time in this review already talking about how the NXTs after NXT TakeOver don't really matter because they're kind of dark matches. But I'm going to flip the script a little bit and say that it also, as much as it's a dark match, it also does have the same effect of being on the pre-show at WrestleMania. You might be on the pre-show, but you're still part of WrestleMania. They might be on a standard episode of NXT, but they are in front of a TakeOver crowd. So maybe that means something. I have to keep saying I love Mia Yim. I really do. I've said it before, and I guarantee you I will say it again. You guys know what a fan I was of Lita when she was in her prime. Mia Yim reminds me so much of Lita. It's friggin' ridiculous. And Bianca Belair, I'm going to say it. Once again, I'm going to get a recording of me saying it so I don't have to keep saying it. Bianca Belair, great wrestler, great physical specimen, shitty gimmick, and the hair thing is stupid. Moving on. Collar double tie up and a faceplant by Belair to start, and there's a takedown by Yim. Rolling arm drags by Yim, a low drop kick and a back elbow, a head scissor by Yim, and a faceplant again by Belair. Lariat by Belair, an abdominal stretch, and she does the abdominal stretch. I will say this. Belair, when she does the abdominal stretch, she sort of digs the knuckles into the exposed ribs, and then she digs the fingertips into the exposed ribs. And Nigel McGuinness on commentary gave us this great little bit about Bianca Belair that I didn't know. Apparently she had to quit CrossFit because she was doing so much CrossFit it fucked up her own ribs, and then she decided again to go from that to training to be a wrestler, which is amazing if it's true. But also, if you've had so many rib injuries, you would know better than most people how to hurt or how to fuck up somebody else's ribs. That's a nice little bit of storytelling. Now, is it requisite information? Absolutely not, but it's a little tiny bit. It lets you know the mentality of, I know what I'm doing to this person while I'm doing it. That's how shitty I am. Hip toss by Yim to eventually get out of the abdominal stretch. Gutbuster by Belair, but she does this weird thing. She sort of throws her up. It's a very loose maneuver because it loosely resembles, I can speak, I swear, sorry guys, it's one of those nights. It loosely represents or resembles a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker, but except she does it inverted, so it's a tilt-a-whirl gutbuster, and it just looked, I have no problem in the world giving credit to Bianca Belair for her in-ring work. It looked perfect, and it's not going to be a finishing move, and it's not even really like a special, I guess, if you want to use video game terms, but it just came off so perfectly and it was one of those ooh moments in the match where the match kind of paused for a second. Bow and arrow submission to follow up on the gutbuster, you know, she's worked the ribs, she's worked the gut, she's working the entire midsection. Now would you not turn around, work the back with the bow and arrow submission, which is really good. Eventually, and I didn't write it down, eventually she does the bow and arrow submission around the ring post as well. A third face plant by Belair, cross arm breaker by Yim. Belair eats the ring post on the outside, Belair eats the ring steps outside, but by the time they get back into the ring, you know what's coming. Back in the ring, Belair's on her knees. Mia Yim breaks out the, say it with me, say it loud, say it proud, one more time for the good times, she breaks out the Daniel Bryan silly kicks. Oh yes, and then follows it up with a low drop kick, a tarantula, and a code blue, which is her version of the code red, which is nice. Belly to back suplex by Belair, guillotine by Yim, and then she's not really in position, she just kind of drags her into the corner and pushes herself off the second. It's not a really fluid, it's not a really pretty looking finish, but she sort of drags her towards the turnbuckles, and she doesn't even really climb the turnbuckles like you would picture in a proper match either. She just sort of gets herself sort of halfway up on the second turnbuckle and pushes off. But basically, what she hits is a second rope super whatever that single knee codebreaker is. So for lack of a better term, second rope super codebreaker, but codebreaker off the one knee. Give it a name. I want to know what to call it. Even if I forget the name, give it a name. You know, the half code breaker or something, the Yim knee. I don't fucking know. I really don't. Bottom line, Mia Yim gets the win, and this was a really good match for as short as it was. Happy for that. It's same as Keith Lee and Kona Reeves in the first match. Happy for these guys, even if the matches don't 100% matter, to get the experience and get the chance to be in front of that bigger, hyped up takeover crowd. I'm sure it helped. Mia Yim is fucking fantastic. She needs to get a title shot. I really want to see Shayna Baszler versus Mia Yim in Toronto. I'm losing faith on whether or not it's actually going to happen because she's been kept so far away from the people that are in the title contention thing. Belair's been in the title contention thing, but I think she's done for now. Candice LeRae is sort of loosely outside that scenario. The other one that's in there is Io Shirai, and then you got Baszler and her cronies. Mia Yim hasn't been in that mix, in that conversation whatsoever. Now, I will say, it's just the beginning of June. TakeOver Toronto 2 is in August. They got a lot of time to get to where they need to get to. I don't know what the spoilers are. I haven't read them. I want Shayna Baszler versus Mia Yim in Toronto. I really do. I'm going to keep saying it until I get it. Next week, we got a bunch of shit going on. We've got Kushida versus Gulak 2 in a submission match. We've got Lorcan and Birch versus the Undisputed Era, but it's not O'Reilly and Fish, it's O'Reilly and Strong, because apparently Fish was injured in that match, in that four-way ladder match, which makes sense because that four-way ladder match, when we weren't kicking the shit out of Jackson Riker for being in a match that he wasn't a part of, we were destroying every single person in that match other than his partner. Were destroying Bobby Fish. Like, that's just a thing that happened. So we're going to get Lorcan and Birch versus O'Reilly and Strong. That's a little bit of a flashback to the tag team that they were when Fish was out, so we know that they can work well as a duo. Lorcan and Birch, they haven't quite hit that stride yet. I would really love to see them pick up the NXT UK tag team titles. If anything, I know Lorcan's American, but you know, I mean, you got Cassius Ohno over there pretending to be a British wrestler and pretending to be a wrestler that I give a shit about. Period. So put a belt on Lorcan. He hasn't had any belts. Give the guy a belt. It's fine. And then I don't really have much to say about it other than go back and watch the match if you haven't. We get the highlights from Cole Gargano to Cole becoming your new NXT champion, baby. And if you don't believe that Adam Cole is your next big star, he's the next Seth Rollins in the sense of he's going to be the NXT guy that the main roster is going to have to try really, really hard to fuck up. I'm not going to say that they can't, because they fuck up all the call-ups. I mean, look at poor Nikki Cross. She's just now getting some exposure on TV, and she's with my girl Alexa Bliss, so it's not all bad. But EC3 dying 1,000 deaths in catering in the back is not something that's going to happen to Adam Cole, because Adam Cole, when he does get called up to the main roster, and I still do say that when they go to Fox in, what is it, October, the call-ups we're going to see are Adam Cole, Matt Riddle, and Pete Dunne. And if I'm wrong, I mean, at least one of those three. If I'm wrong, if none of those three guys come up to the main roster before SmackDown goes to Fox, somebody hit me up in the comment section and tell me, Spaz, you're a fucking dumbass. Because one of those three is going up. Matt Riddle's teasing the Lesnar shit way too much, isn't he? Pete Dunne has overstayed his welcome in the NXT system. There's nothing else he can do unless he's going to go for the NXT proper title. He's not going to go back and get the belt off of Walter, because Walter's doing the Imperium shit. They're going to have a 3-on-3 match in a couple of weeks, which is fine and wonderful. He's not going to go back and get that title that he already held for, like, what, a couple of years? Put him on NXT proper, that's a move. Cool. But now that I'm talking myself out of it, maybe he comes to NXT proper, takes the title off Adam Cole, so Adam Cole can go to SmackDown. But still, my prediction holds true, because that would mean one of those three guys that I just predicted went to the main roster. I don't know what else to say. I said in my preview, when we were talking about TakeOver 25 before it happened, I said this match here, in my mind, is a Daniel Bryan versus a Shawn Michaels. And I know I don't always have the nicest things to say about Daniel Bryan, because there are some things about Daniel Bryan that bug me, but his in-ring work ain't one of them, and Shawn Michaels is one of the best of all time, so I can't give these guys any more of a compliment than that. And the match lived up to all of that and beyond, and you didn't have Undisputed Era getting involved. I did like the fake out where Adam Cole was like pretending to wave them down. That was really cool. But yeah, just how many kicks, how many knees to the face, how many, what does he call that move, the Panama Sunrise? The Panama Sunrise on the outside was fucking dirty. Adam Cole, if you don't believe that this guy gives a shit about what he's doing, watch him. He breaks heel character when that bell rings a little bit. Watch him celebrating with the other guys on his team. That's not a cocky, arrogant celebration. That's I fucking made it celebration. That title on his shoulder around his waist is more valuable than the Undisputed title and the WWE title at the moment. And you know what? On the plus side, he doesn't have to worry about getting cashed in on by Brock Lesnar. But wouldn't that piss everybody off as well? That's a really weird way for me to end off this review, but I've been rambling most of the time. I've diverted quite a bit because, as I say, it's quite a short show to review. If you guys have still stayed with me on the wacky adventure that is this post-takeover review, I really, really do thank you. I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation. Keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I will talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys. Like me.